Good evening, everyone. The notes and your chapter, relevant extracts from the study material. Chapter 2, Audit Strategy, Planning, and Audit Program. What we did in the previous session, I hope everyone read it and we'll start with a quick recap of what we did in the last session so that if there are any queries still left, we'll do. Okay. Okay. Okay, Jay, today also I'll use you in the example of the hotel. I believe you are still waiting for me at the audit place, the hotel itself. So I'll take up your example only. Right. Okay. No issues. Okay, I am not still able to see many of the greets for the evening. Let's start with a quick recap of 10 minutes. Then we'll resume with the further topics. So what we did in the previous session was, okay, these are our topics from the session. Yeah, I'm doing that only. Okay, so what were our topics? As you can see on the screen, audit planning and audit strategy, audit program, and audit planning and materiality, right? We covered topic A in the previous session, audit planning and strategy. Today we'll be resuming with audit program. We'll be finishing the topic B, and then we'll conclude this chapter with topic C. So, a quick recap. Audit planning, we did strategy, plan, literally what do they mean, then what is the relationship between audit plan are not necessarily discrete or sequential processes, but closely interrelated. So this statement is very much important for your benefits of audit planning activities, right? And the nature, timing, and extent of the resources. We took up these factors one by one in detail. All the 5 factors, right? Then, very important standard on auditing, the knowledge of the client's business. That is where we took the example of the hotel. Till now, we were taking the example of your preparation for the exams. From here onwards, we took the example of the hotel. We should very well know what business our client is into. If we don't have the knowledge of the client's business, a proper and effective audit is not possible. Okay? So, what were the factors which we needed to consider while obtaining the knowledge or acquiring the knowledge of the client's business? These were the factors. The relevant industry, regulatory, and external factors. We talked what laws are applicable, what industry our client belongs to, external factors like we discussed about COVID situation in the past 1.5 years, right? Then about the entity. First, the macro level factors which are affecting the entity. Then we come to the micro level which are specific to the entity, the client itself. After that, we took them one by one, right? The entities, accounting policies and accounting operations, the entities' objectives and strategies, then the measurement and review of the entity's financial performance, and why is it important? Why is the knowledge of client's business significant? So we had these benefits listed out. How does obtaining the knowledge of client's business helps the auditor? So we did whether planning is a one-time process or a continuing process. Yes, it is a continuing process. It starts with the completion of the previous audit and continues till the completion of the current audit. And then planning for next audit starts the next year onwards. So we did that. It is a continual and an iterative process. Additional consideration in initial audit engagements when we have a new audit or we are auditing any entity for the first time. What were the additional considerations as per SA 300? We had to apply SA 220 regarding the terms of engagement and communicating with the previous auditor. If the firm was being audited previously, we had to communicate with the previous auditor. It is an ethical requirement. Changes to plan during the course of the audit. Here I told you that sometimes some information, the auditor may get some information which is different from the information he got at the beginning of the audit. So during the audit, there might arise a situation or some circumstances where the auditor might have to revise or make changes to his audit plan. So it is completely normal, right? There could be different audit procedures which might give different results, and the auditor might have to ponder over or consider whether he needs to make a change to the already developed plan or it is working fine. Then we had this direction, supervision, and review of the audit going on. Okay, so these were literal terms. What is direction, what is supervision, and what is review? You have to direct your team. The engagement know what is engagement team, right? Partner and the article assistants. Supervising the team, whether they are working fine or not, whether they are facing any issues, and we should try to resolve those issues. Then a review of their work. This is very important, a review of their work, so that we don't have to face any consequences, any adverse consequences later on. Okay. Then the most important part I told you was documentation. So sabut is required, evidence, and documentation is the best evidence. You should have documented each and everything. All the preliminary activities like the terms of engagement, the client acceptance letter, then your terms of engagement, okay, then your preliminary investigation, whatever your preliminary activities were regarding acquiring the knowledge of the client, then the previous year reports, everything, then your audit planning, what strategy you crafted, then your audit program, the detailed audit program. I told you about the briefings and debriefings, what documents you obtained from the client as an evidence, whatever it is. Documentation is really important, whether in physical form, the hard copy, or in electronic form. It is really important. Okay? Then these were the practice questions. I hope everybody was able to solve these questions, to answer these questions with the help of the notes uploaded, which we discussed in the previous session. Can you please tell me if anybody... Just a second. Let me get it clear. Please refresh your browser page. Please refresh it. if there was a lag of 5 to 10 seconds, you might have to refresh the page, the browser address where you are accessing this video, because after that there has been no lag, not in video, not in audio. Please, there might have been a technical issue where there was a lag of 5 to 10 seconds. After that, it has been completely fine. So you might need to refresh it. Okay. So I was just asking about these 4 questions. If you were able to, and the answers to these 4 questions are exactly put it on the slides which you are having. Exactly the same answers you have to write in the same manner. So let's move further today. When I went through the doubts, the questions from the previous session, the last time there was a doubt about the difference between those charged with governance and the management, and I explained it itself in the class. If anyone still has any doubts, please let me know during this class. And there was a doubt regarding the assertions, the term assertions. What are they? So we are covering that term in one of our subtopics today. Whenever that term comes up, assertions, right? We'll take that up. Okay? What are assertions, and whether you have any queries or doubts regarding assertions, we'll take that up. So, is it fine, sir? Okay. So what is audit program? So I was telling you that program, when we plan with friends and we plan with family, what do we say? What is a program? The same way professionally, when we proceed for an audit, we had already strategized. We have had made our strategy that we are going to target this, we are going to target that, we will be targeting these financials, these particular segments and aspects. And then we make plans. First day, second day, third day, we'll be doing those. And then weekly, or for the first 7 days, for the first 3 days, we have planned this schedule. Then for the next part, we have planned this schedule. So that is planning. Please be with me when I take up strategy, planning, and program sequentially. Okay? So what was the strategy? The strategy was that I have to do this. I have to do this audit. I have to carry out this audit. Okay. For example, hotel, Jay is still waiting for me for the hotel audit. So I had strategized, yes, I have to lay special emphasis on the restaurant section, the banquet hall bookings, and the third part, the inventory of the toiletries and edible snacks. Right? So my strategy was that, yes, I have to carry out the audit of the hotel, but these are my specific considerations where I have to lay special emphasis, spend more time, get more documentation done, get more evidences, so that I'm able to give an effective report of an effective audit. Then I make plan. What are the plans? Right? Plan. Okay. Okay. Plans. So I've made a plan that I'll start this audit in the last week of this month accordingly, or I'll start this audit, suppose it's December and we know that there would be Christmas and New Year holidays at the end of the year. They would be getting bulk bookings. So I better start my audit before that, not at that time. That would not be a good time. I'll better start my audit before that. Completion of audit before that time is not at all required. The audit can be continued even during that time. Even it is good that during that time I'll be able to get much more evidence. So, but I better start my audit before that time. So I would be going for 14th or 14th December, right? Okay. So that is my planning. Now, before proceeding for the audit, I sit with a diary and a pen or a note, a paper and pen, and will discuss with the team. The engagement team crafts out an audit program. What is a program? Program is a detailed step-by-step conversion of what you have planned. Step by step. Okay, reach the hotel at 10 in the morning. 2 people, you go to the reception counter and tell them that you are here for the audit and ask them about whatever you require. Okay, tell them what you'll be doing for the day, what you'll be doing for the week, tell them each and everything. Then the other 2 people, divide yourselves. 2 people will go to the restaurant, 2 people will go to the bar, and 2 people will go to the banquet hall. If there are different persons managing these different components of the hotel, okay, you will be with them. You'll ask them whatever your queries are. You'll check the books of accounts, receipts, whatever vouchers you need to check, everything. So this is what detailed step by step. Strategy had a huge scope. Planning somewhat categorized it. And audit program bifurcated it into different steps, what needs to be done at the ground level. So it started from strategy, then planning, and then we came to more detailed writings, more detailed executory steps, which is known as audit program. Okay, so what is audit program? Here we go. Okay, I've put it into different colors because these are various features of an audit program, meaning of audit program, right? So the first meaning, it says audit program is a detailed plan of applying the audit procedures. So what are audit procedures? You are checking the books of account. This is an audit procedure. You are making inquiries of the hotel staff. This is an audit procedure, right? You are collecting all the evidence. This is an audit procedure. You are observing how a guest is making a booking at the reception counter or paying, by what means, what is the process being done. This is an audit procedure. So whatever work you carry out during an audit, that becomes an audit procedure. So the team beforehand decides there is a detailed plan of applying the audit procedure in the given circumstances. So what were the circumstances? Please relate to my example. The circumstances would be different when I start my audit on 15th or 20th of December, and it will be different at year end, because at year end there will be bulk bookings, there will be parties, there will be gala dinners, everything. So you have to prepare your audit procedures accordingly. The hotel staff will not avoid you or ignore your requirements at the end of the year, but we have to understand that they have their bookings and other arrangements. So we need to plan our procedures accordingly so that the client is able to cooperate with us, right? So whatever in detail procedures we need to carry out, we'll keep it for the initial period. And somewhat lighter procedures where we don't require much of the support from the hotel staff, we'll keep it at that time. So these are the circumstances which change. So a detailed plan of applying the audit procedures in the given circumstances, with instructions for the appropriate techniques to be adopted. So I give an audit program to my articles. I tell them, see, this audit procedure, particularly, you have to carry out at this particular day. And there are the instructions. You have to use this technique. What technique? Okay, one staff, I'll tell them, okay, you have to inquire of the hotel staff, the attendants, the night auditor. I'll tell you what night auditor is. Since we have taken the example of hotel, I'll tell you who is the night auditor. You have to inquire the hotel staff, the night auditor, the chef, and all that. So what would be the technique? Okay, you can prepare a questionnaire, or you can conduct an in-person interview, right? Some techniques for accomplishing the audit objectives, what our objectives are. So see how deep we are reaching. We strategize, we plan, we made a program, and in that program, everything is written. What you have to do, right? Next part, another way to define an audit program. An audit program consists of a series of verification procedures. I have told one of my article training, who is a fresher, who has just joined me, this is the particular sheet, okay? And you have to tick mark everything, yes or no, written over there, answer to the questions in yes or no. For example, whether the firm has this kind of machinery, or whether the hotel has the provision of the boot polish machinery. Yes, no. So it is very much easy for a fresher to go and check and carry out the verification procedures. Right? What is the capacity of the hotel parking lot? What time is the buffet lunch or dinner served? How does the preparation, when does the preparation begin? What time is the check-in time? What time is the checkout time? Okay. How many executive suites are there in the hotel? How many deluxe, non-deluxe rooms are there in the hotel? So these are the kind of questions. I've given them a questionnaire. So the article trainee will have to verify whether such thing, such particular facility exists with the hotel or not, whether such particular asset exists with the hotel or not. For example, I gave you the example of a boot polish machine. So boot cleaning machine, right? Verification procedures. Then to be applied to the financial statements and accounts of a given company. So basically, our main focus is on the financial accounts. Check whether they have shown the hotel gives pick and drop service. So whether this pick and drop service is outsourced to an external transporter, cab service provider, or the hotel has its own fleet of vehicles. So this is what an auditor has to check. Whether the service, pick and drop service, is being given by outsourcing it to an external cab service provider, or the hotel has its own fleet of vehicles. So we cannot just rule it out. Okay, the hotel provides pick and drop service. You have to check as an auditor. What is the mode? What is the medium? If they are outsourcing it, what are the terms and conditions of the contract? They should not be arbitrary. They should not be weird. They should be as per the market trend. It should not be like this, that the pick and drop service provider, the cab provider, is a relative or friend of the manager, and the manager is paying him more than the market rate for that service. Why? We are living in the world of competition. If that particular service is available to us at a lower price, why does the manager need to set a contract with that particular cab service provider? Or if the hotel is using its own fleet of vehicles, how many vehicles are there? What kind of vehicles are there? How are they used? If there are any chauffeurs or drivers, what are they paid? So this kind of thing, the expenses of maintaining those cars, they would be reflected in the financial statements. For the purpose of obtaining sufficient evidence. Sufficient means quantity, good number of evidences. Okay, you will come across a term, appropriate and sufficient evidence, right? Sufficient, required in good number. That is, if we are able to satisfy our requirements, that much of evidence to enable the auditor to express an informed opinion on such statements. So we carry out a series of verification procedures to be applied to the financial statements on the accounts of a given company to obtain sufficient evidence so that the auditor, the engagement partner, is able to give an informed opinion for the information of everyone as far as which is the information of auditor true and fair on such statements. Right? A more detailed meaning, it is a list of examination and verification steps. Examining things, how are things being done? Examining them. You check the hotel stock, right? How are they stocking the edible products, the raw material used in the restaurant? To be applied and set out in such a way that the interrelationship of one step to another is clearly shown and designed. So the steps you are taking to carry out the audit, to verify the assertions, right? They should be interrelated. Keeping in view the assertions in the statements of account produced for audit or on the basis of an appraisal of accounting records of the client. So the first two parts are clearly giving you the definition of an audit program, right? Okay. So this is a screenshot. This might not be visible to you clearly, right? This is a screenshot. So this is an audit program of purchases. So I've given to my article that you have to audit the purchases from the books of accounts. Purchases made by the entity. It could be any entity. In our example, it is a hotel. It could be any entity, right? So what are the procedures and what do I have written in the checklist? So in the right column, we have the checklist. In the left column, we have the audit procedures. Remember, what is an audit program? Audit program is detailed plan of applying the audit procedures. So here you go, the procedures. It is an example for you where I have given you this program to audit the purchases of the client. So what do the procedures ask us? Here we are. The first part I have told my staff to check purchase requisition for serial numbering. Whether you are checking the purchase requisitions or invoices, requisition is when you lay out the requirement in the department of the company that we require this much amount of this material. For example, in the hotel, the chef, the restaurant lays out the requirements. We require 10 loaves of bread for the gala dinner or the gala breakfast. We require this much amount of milk, this liters of milk and all. Please arrange for the same. It will be given to the purchase department. Check for the numbering, serial numbering. There should not be repetition of those serial because they are serially numbered, even if it is a requisition or it is an invoice, right? They are sequentially numbered. Okay? There should not be any duplication, right? So there should not be double orders placed. Check whether perquisitions were signed by an authorized person. Who is the person authorized to sign the purchase requisition? Whether the chef, the manager of the restaurant, who is the authorized person, and whether they have been properly signed and only by the authorized person. Right? Then, were quotations called by quotations? We asked for quotations from different vendors. If we have a fixed vendor, then it is completely fine. But if it is a new order or we are making new purchases, whether we floated for quotations, whether quotations were asked for from different vendors. Obtain evidence of comparative statement prepared by. So when you asked for quotations, right? Different vendors sent you their quotations. Different vendors sent you their quotations. Just a second. Okay. So different vendors ask for, give you the quotations, right? And who is the authorized person who made the comparative statement of from those quotations? Yes, this particular person is supplying us this particular quantity at this rate. He is giving us discount of 10%. I hope you did material costing in the subject of costing. You used to prepare economic order quantity and all, right? You used to prepare tables and they would give you quotations. We have received quotations from these many vendors and whose quotation should be finalized. And we calculate economic order quantity. Then we calculate using the discounts and we reach out to a quantity which gives us the best result. That is the same thing. Comparative statement. You make comparative statements only in the chapter of material control when you calculate economic order quantity and compare it with the prices offered by other vendors. Okay, right? So this is the kind of audit procedures, the audit program, which we hand over to the engagement team and they fill it out or they customize it as per the requirement of their audit. Can anyone please put something in the query session? I need to know whether I'm getting the queries or not. It's still since much time. I've refreshed it as well. So we move ahead with the considerations while preparing audit programs. What factors we need to consider during the audit program? Can anybody please come up with some question or a query so that I get to know that I'm getting them? Okay, hello sir. Okay, fine. Hello sir. Okay, yes, it is clear. Fine. Well, you guys have been asking questions and all, so I got confused whether they are able to hear or see or not. There's not a single query. Okay, so considerations with the audit program. Okay, the first consideration. Is one audit program practicable for all? I have prepared a program and I've asked my client, see, you can find it then, there is this particular file, the previous audit you did, carry that audit program with you and carry out the audit. Do we study the same for all the subjects? No. We have a planned strategy. We have a method, a common method, right, to study for all the subjects. But there are different variations. For practical subjects, we emphasize more on written practice. For theoretical subjects, we emphasize more on solving a variety of questions. I'm the same person, but the approach differs with different kind of subjects. Same is the case with audit program. One audit program is not practicable for all the audits. What are the reasons? The reasons are all businesses vary from each other in nature, size, and composition. Right? If there is, you are listening with focus and patience. Thank you, Charu. So if there is this particular business, right? This is in the form of a company. One business is in the form of a proprietorship. The third business in the form of a partnership. The structure, organization structure differs. Size of the business. So there is this, we take the example of hotel. There are 5-star hotels, 4-star hotels to no-star hotels. The size varies because as the stars increase, the components increase. And as the components increase, the work increases. Nature, but obvious. If you are auditing a hotel, it is a service industry. a hospital, it is a service industry. If you're auditing the accounts of a manufacturer, which is a manufacturing industry. If you're auditing the accounts of a trader who might be a wholesale trader or a retail trader, the nature varies, right? So businesses vary in nature, size, and composition. So one audit program may not be practicable for all. 2 or 3 common steps would be there, but not the whole program. Efficiency and operation of internal controls. So I told you in the last class, what are internal controls? Controls which have been put by a business into place so that their business runs smooth without any issue. Internal controls, as the term suggests, controls set up internally within the organizations. Controls set up internally. For example, there's a security guard. You visit the departmental stores during the time of COVID. The security guard at the entrance of the store would ask you, if you're carrying any belongings with you, please submit it over here. He'll give you a token, right? While you leave the departmental store, while you leave the mall bazaar, please give us a token and take your belongings with you. And during the COVID time, a person was specially there to give you the sanitizer. Please sanitize your hands before entering. He would be there to check the temperature, whether you have put on a mask or not. These are good internal controls. And if you are entering any market, nobody is there to look up for it, whether you have to sanitize your hands, there is mask, you have put on a mask or not. Those are called weak internal controls. Right? I'm going to the mall bazaar, and I am carrying anything, I take up anything, and then I come back, nobody asks me for the price. Weak internal controls. There are CCTV cameras everywhere, strong internal controls. Those CCTV cameras are working or not. If they're working, good. If they're not working, weak internal controls. Okay? Somebody is there to check whether what you have brought, you are taking away that only, or what you have bought from the store. The receipt is checked, the items are matched. These are good internal controls. Okay? So the efficiency, the strength, and whether the efficiency of internal controls means whether the internal controls are good or not. The setup internal controls, the rules and the policies set up to control the business are there or not, and whether they are efficient. If they are efficient, whether they are being operated properly. So efficiency and operation of internal controls vary from business to business, we all know. The third reason is exact nature of service to be rendered by the auditor varies from assignment to assignment. It's completely fine. If we have a short assignment, right? If we have a short assignment, then our service will be limited to only that particular part. If they have the hotel has asked us to please audit the receipts and the expenses of the restaurant only. So we'll not be concerned with the banquet hall bookings, the room bookings, the inventory consumed in the rooms. We'll be considered with only the restaurant. If it has any linkage with the rooms booked, for example, room service and all, that is a related part. We'll be concerned towards that, but not work, which may be termed as a standard program, right? So, for example, some work you have to do at every audit. Terms of engagement, when you started the audit, right? What are the documents required? Documents required at every audit, inquiries to be made at every audit, fixed asset verification, checking of bills, checking of books. So these are some common steps which you have to take up at every kind of audit. For such steps, yes, we can draft a standard program so that minimum time is wasted while repeating the framing of these procedures at every audit. And more time can be devoted to the specific audit procedures required for every specific audit. So yes, a standard program can be put into place where there are common steps for every kind of audit, But the assistant engaged in this job, the assistants should be encouraged to keep an open mind beyond the program. If they found something fishy, if they can smell something fishy, right? They can, ultra wise, you might have read this concept in law. So they can go beyond the program and customize it as per their requirements, right? He should note and report significant matters which he feels there was no question or no procedure in the audit program, standard program. With respect to that, I have customized it accordingly, and he or she should report it to their seniors. It should be told to the seniors that I found this observation. And when the fresher article goes for an audit, he finds something, it is like he has won a award. Oh my God, I found this, the audit, there was this problem. I prevented the fraud at client's place. It is such a good feeling. It is like you have cleared the chartered accountancy exam. When you find something fishy and you tell your senior or your principal, and they are all praises about you. Wow, what an observation. You're like, मैं तो आज ही CA बन गया, auditor बन गया. So this is what, when you apply your mind and go beyond the program. Okay. Who takes care of internal controls, Tanu? The management. They have to take care of the internal controls, whether they have been put into place or not, as per the policies. Okay, Sneha says, once I read that there is one audit practice, which means that in some organization, auditing occurs regularly, and as soon as the transaction occurs. Is it true? Yes, Sneha, it is continuous audit. Now, audit is not limited to the chartered accountant only. Audit can be done by the client itself as well, internal audit. Right? There is internal audit where the client employs the chartered accountant, or there is a specific employee with the client who keeps on auditing frequently on daily basis or on fortnightly basis, weekly basis, all the transactions in every controls. Okay. So there are continuous audits, there are internal audits. So it is not like this that auditing occurs only annually. You'll get to read about these types of audits when you proceed further with this subject. Okay. My God, Sneha, you have filled the query page with this. Auditor becomes biased. Auditor, if he becomes biased, it is his own, he has to face the repercussions, the consequences. If he becomes biased, an auditor can never be biased. I told you auditor is a watchdog, right? If a watchdog in your house lets the thief break into the house and take away anything they want, what is the need of that watchdog? Okay, so an auditor is a watchdog. He cannot be biased. The dog cannot let the thieves break into the house. Yes. Charu, minimum essential work. Minimum essential work means that for the common part, if they have done it once, this need not repeated at every audit, right? Minimum essential work means to do that common procedures, to cover those common procedures, minimum essential work is devoted to those procedures, framing of those procedures, not carrying out those procedures, framing of those procedures, what to do, how to do, when to do. Okay, let's move ahead. The second set of considerations, periodic review of the audit program. So you prepare your timetable, right? You prepare your timetable and you aim to achieve 100% of it during your exams, or when you are preparing for your exams, you revision timetable, everything. So you keep on updating it as the dates pass, as the months pass, time passes, you keep on updating it. Okay, this was done, this is still left, let's shift it to the last of the table, last of the schedule. Okay, this part is left, let's shift it to the last of the schedule. What are you doing? You are periodically reviewing your preparation and the status of the work, the status of your preparation. In the similar manner, periodic review of the audit program is also important. Once upon a time, the audit program used to include whether you have checked the physical books of accounts or not, whether the cash book, the ledger were properly maintained in safe custody or not, right? In today's era, in the era of digitization, accounts are maintained in softwares in electronic form. So if we cannot carry out a periodic review of the audit program, will not be able to extract that particular procedure out of our program. When time passes, you have to carry a periodic review of your audit program. And even during the audit, if you feel that there has been a change in your audit plan, or there have some circumstances which force us to carry a review of the audit program, and if something or some procedure or some steps need to be changed, they should be changed in discussion with the engagement team, right? Why do we need to carry a periodic review of the audit program? To assess whether the same continues to be adequate. Adequate means enough to obtain the knowledge of the transactions and their evidence, which we need to collect as an evidence. Okay? It says if the audit work is carried on the basis of an obsolete program, the whole audit may be negligently conducted. And the auditor might have to face legal consequences because it's a contract between the auditor and the auditee. So we always need an updated audit program. Right? Always need an updated audit program. For example, this is to assess means to check, to analyze, to work out, to check the conditions and work out calculations. It is to assess. For example, there was this particular organization, or if we case the take of the hotel, they didn't used to get the bookings online, right? The COVID situation came and they suffered losses. Now to boost up their revenue, they started taking bookings online. They started tie-ups with various marketing organizations so that their revenue is boosted, and they have completely overhauled their infrastructure. Good linen, good food, hygienic, everything they have overhauled. And the particular hotel is our client. Okay. So the last time we audited their hotel, our audit program would have been different. This time, when they have overhauled their complete infrastructure, there would be new technology, there would be new facilities. The program which we used the last time, it has become obsolete. Either we need to change our audit program completely, or we need to make necessary changes, because there could be some specific components or some parts which could have been left behind in our reporting, in our auditing, which are of utmost importance. For example, bookings with the e-commerce operators, right? The Go, Make My Trip kind of website, Seize My Trip, Booking.com. So the bookings being received from these particular businesses, what is the effect of taxes? How are the taxes being collected? Is there any convenience fee? What is the arrangement between the particular hotel and these kind of businesses, e-commerce operators? So they are getting the room at least above cost, right? They're getting room rent above cost, because if a person comes in and takes booking directly, the hotel charges the customer, the guest, as per the hotel policy. But when they arrange a tie-up with these particular e-commerce operators, they have their own discounts, terms and conditions, and much more. So you need to include much more detailed audit program when you start with the audit of the hotel this time. Utility of the audit program can be retained and enhanced. Retained means what were we getting initially, that should be retained, and it has to be increased also by keeping the program as also the client's operation and internal controls under periodic review, so that inadequacies or redundancies of the program may be removed. Inadequacies means things, the procedures which are not required at all. And redundancies means repetition. The program, the procedures which have been already done, why do we need to repeat those those procedures? Okay. So this is just, it is kind of a repetition. Time is wasted. And for service providers like us, chartered accountants, the time is our cost. Okay. We charge for our time. Before auditing hotel, visit there and enjoy facilities to get knowledge. That is why I took the example of a hotel. Okay, examples are necessary to write in exam. It is actually good if you support your answers with examples, but those examples should mean something. They should not be absurd examples, right? It should not be like this. You are writing any kind of example everywhere. It should be fitting into the scenario. So yes, examples which complement your answer are really good when you write in the exam. The next part is why periodic review. A lot of work is delegated by auditor to his assistants. The auditor should carefully direct, supervise, and review. We have done this as per SA 220 quality control. So this is why periodic review of the audit program is necessary. Okay. Next we come, how do we construct an audit program? So what we did till now, the meaning of audit program, right? Then the considerations, standard program and customized programs. Why is periodic review of the audit program important? Now we come to how to construct an audit program. Okay, so you are sitting with your team, you are the auditor or you are a part of the engagement team. You are sitting over there, you have to construct an audit program, what needs to be done at the first stage, the second phase, the third phase, and while reporting, after we have prepared the report. So everything should be detailed stepwise. So what are the pre-considerations before constructing an audit program? When you have sit down as a team and you have started constructing an audit program as per your strategy and plan. As per your plan, you have started constructing your audit program. So what are the pre-considerations? The first one is reliance on internal controls. So I need to know, as Khushi said before auditing, visit hotel there and enjoy the facilities. It is completely fine. Go there. Check the internal controls. You can go there as an auditor, as a guest. Go check the internal controls. Right? Whether you can rely on their internal controls or not. As I told you in the previous session, take an example. Go there, start using the elevator, go to any floor room. Fine, nobody's there to make you sanitize your hands, whether check you have put on a mask or not, ask you whether you are booking or not, whether the CCTV cameras are properly working or not, whether you have went to the restaurant and tell them, this is my room number, I have a complimentary buffet breakfast. And they write your room number, you go there, you have the breakfast and you come without paying anything. So you get to know what kind of internal controls are there. If he wrote my room number, he should have checked it in his system. Or at least tell it with the reception or the booking manager. This person has come for the complimentary buffet, whether his name shows in the bookings for the day or not. So how much trust you can place over the internal controls of that particular entity. The auditor may conclude, after testing the controls, he may conclude that relying on certain internal controls, right? Relying on certain internal controls is an effective and efficient way to conduct his audit. So he'll check the internal controls and he'll come to a conclusion whether I can rely on their internal controls or not. Either all the internal controls are weak or all the internal controls are really strong. So he would construct his audit program accordingly. So if the internal controls are weak, his audit would be, like I would say, expanded in volumes, into volumes. His audit work would be increased too much because the internal controls are weak. So he'll have to check whether the internal controls are working, additional procedures to check those internal controls. If he finds that internal controls are really strong, right, then he can divide or his specific attention or specific work to more important parts. So it is up to the auditor to check and decide whether he can rely on the internal controls or not. The auditor may decide to rely, he may decide not to rely when there are other more efficient ways of obtaining sufficient appropriate audit evidence. Okay, so this term needs to be opened up. Sufficient appropriate audit evidence. Evidence, you all know, saboots, right? Documentation in support, supporting documentation, right? If there are more efficient ways of obtaining sufficient and appropriate, sufficient means quantity, quantum, good number of evidences, that is sufficient. Appropriate means quality, relevance. So relevant audit evidence. If the auditor has much more ways with him for obtaining such kind of evidence which is sufficient, quantum wise, appropriate, quality wise, he may choose not to rely upon internal controls. I will carry my own procedures. I assume that your internal controls are weak. Whether they are weak, strong, I assume they are weak and I'll carry my audit procedures accordingly. Yes, definitely, Rekha. You can ask for purchase invoice, show purchase item where it is. We purchased this particular microwave for this particular room, right? Okay, so you are on the audit of a company and you say, we purchased a microwave for our pantry. Say, show me where is the microwave. If the microwave is there, oh, okay, I'll tell you the case. While auditing the accounts of a proprietor, right? Let us take the case of a proprietor. While auditing the case of a proprietor, I find that he has shown in the expense scooter repair or car repair, right? Petrol expenses, diesel expenses. Okay, yes, traveling and all, delivering products, and this is completely fine. Every business needs to have this kind of expenses, right? So simultaneously, I'll check in the fixed assets whether any scooter or any car or any lorry or any truck stands there or not, whether they are having a fixed asset or not. Sometimes it happens they are not having those fixed assets and they are just making those expenses. I need to ask, sir, there is no car standing in your fixed assets. So how are you able to expend on car? Which car are you expending upon? Whose car? So what would the client say? The client may say, oh, this is my personal car. I have not shown it in the books of accounts, but yes, the expenses are made. I'll say, show me the car. Where is it? Or the proprietor may say, if that was a genuine expense, he would definitely say, oh, I take the car on rent, taxi expense. These are the expenses for taxi. I can shift them to the ledger head of traveling. I make my trips through taxi fare. I rent cabs. So don't use it in the car expenses, just shift them to the traveling expenses, conveyance expenses. right? So this is how you can always ask for anything which you feel that if there is a car or if there is this item, show us the purchase invoice, or if there is a purchase invoice in the papers, in the books you found, you can always ask for that item, Rekha. Yes. As an auditor, you have full right to make inquiries, whether it is physical examination, inspection, which is within the scope of your engagement. If it is in the scope of your engagement, you have full right to ask for it. You have full right to tell them that please show us this particular area, show us this particular fixed asset. Okay. So the pre-consideration for constructing an audit program, the first one is reliance on internal controls. It is auditor's professional judgment. The second is timing of audit procedures. So it is very important, timing of audit procedures, right? It is your auditing exam and you say, oh, it is your, I would say auditing exam, and you say, no, I have to read Eco and FM. I'm very weak in that subject. Exam is of auditing. Why do you need to study Eco and FM? Right? Timing of everything is really important. Similarly, the timing of audit procedures is important. So auditor normally has flexibility in deciding when to perform audit procedures. I gave you an example in the beginning of our session. Hotel example mein, I told you that during the Christmas vacation time, bulk bookings with the hotel. So the auditor has flexibility available to him, right? So if he doesn't want to be a pain to the client at that particular time, he will keep his audit procedures which require only his time, the books and all at that particular time, and which require the cooperation, the inquiries from the hotel staff, will keep those audit procedures before that time, before 25th December or the holidays time or the vacation time, so that the client and they work hand to hand, cooperating with each other. So auditor normally has flexibility in deciding when to perform audit procedure. However, in some cases, the auditor may have no discretion as to timing. It is not, I would say that it is not right to say that always the auditor has flexibility. Usually the auditor has flexibility. It is written normally, but not always. For example, they have given example, when observing the taking of inventories by client personnel. What does this mean? I'm at the hotel, I'm with the server or the person who is in charge of the bar. I would say, give me a list of the stock maintained with you of the wines, the whiskeys, and whatever drinks you have. He gives you a list out of the system and you take that list with you. Okay, come on, let us check. It is called inventory taking. It is called inventory taking. When you will be doing your articleship, you will be going for stock audits. In stock audits, you do this kind of work only, inventory taking. So the staff of the client shows us the inventory. He carries out that particular procedure of inventory taking. We are just observing them. We'll just observe them. Okay, 7 bottles of this, 10 packs of this. Where are they? It says you purchased 10 packs, 4 consumed in the last 3 days. So there should be 6 packs in the closing stock. And you ask him, count these packs. He says there are 5. Where is the 6th pack? Where is the 6th pack? Is it broken? Or it has been taken for personal use? What does the stock sheet say? The stock sheet says there should be 6 packs in the closing stock. But during inventory taking, when I'm observing the client, he has told me that there are only 5 packs. An observation, right? So the timing of this audit procedure can be carried out only within the official working hours of the client, or if during that particular hour the bar is working, right, we can wait for the official hours to end Okay, so we have to wait for the time when there is no customer in the bar or the bar has been closed for the day. After that day, at the day end, you can count, you can make them count the inventory or observe the taking of inventories. While the bar is open, people are coming and leaving. So how will we be able to take the inventory? Right? Or verifying the securities and cash balances at the year end. Securities and cash balances will come. How do we verify cash? What is the best way to verify cash? We'll take this up in the slides to come. No. The linen is not good fixed assets, Neha. The linen is not fixed assets. They are consumables only. Other factors. So what are the other factors which the auditor needs to pre-consider before constructing an audit program? The coordination of any assistance expected from the client. So how much do you require the presence of the client at every step of the audit procedure or at particular time? For example, we'll tell them, when you close the bar, please inform us. We'll come over here from our room and we'll need 15 of your minutes to carry out the inventory taking. So we need coordination expected. We'll have to inform them beforehand that tonight, after you close the bar services, please, you have to be here for 15 minutes at least so that we can complete this particular audit procedure. Whether your assistants are available for that particular task or not, an assistant who assisted you in the audit of the hotel previously, whether he or she having that experience is available in those days, the assistant says, sir, I have to go for a vacation, Christmas vacation, New Year vacation. So you'll have to consider whether you need to start the audit, complete the audit, or you'll have to start it after he comes back or she comes back, if you are not available, right? And the involvement of other auditors or experts. So you'll read about internal auditor, external, your principal auditor, when there are joint audits, two auditors jointly carry out one audit. So what is their involvement? What part are they doing and what part have we to do? Or experts, for example, for valuation of the gold and silver utensils of the hotel, whether they have valued them properly or not, we need the certificate from an expert. Yes, their value as valued by the hotel or as carried in the books of the hotel are okay. We'll need a certificate. So an expert who has the expertise which we don't have. So whether we need their involvement as well or not. So we'll ask them beforehand, whether you arrange an expert or we'll be arranging it ourselves, you bear the expenses. So if there is this machinery or building being constructed, a new banquet hall being constructed by the hotel, so what is the status of that construction as on 31st December of that previous year? We'll ask them, please give us a building, the certificate from the valuer or the builder that this much work has been done, so that you can capitalize it in your books of accounts. You'll show it in the fixed assets, building under construction, and how much amount do you need to show. You have shown it on your own. This is what we value the building to be of this much amount till the work that has been completed. No, we need a proper certificate from an expert who is expert in this, giving these valuations, valuing buildings, that yes, the work on the building has been completed of this much amount, and you can capitalize it in your books of accounts. You might have done contract costing in your subject of costing. Okay. So these were the factors before constructing an audit program, pre-considerations. So the next comes constructing an audit program. So we'll take a break over here. Before that, Sneha asked me what is night auditor. So you'll come across this term in your last chapter of this subject, auditing of special entities. But we took the example of hotels. So I'll tell you who is a night auditor. A night auditor is the hotel's manager who is working in night shift, right? Who is working in a night shift because guests can check in anytime. The hotel works 24 hours. It is the nature of this industry. So the people over there, they work in shifts. So you might be coming, you might have experienced this when you book a hotel, you go for vacation, or you are staying there for 2 days. The reception people change with shifts. In the morning, you will find a different person. At night, you will find a different person. So nighttime, there should not be any mismanagement. Nighttime, there is a person, the manager who handles the bookings and all. The change of bookings. Somebody is checking out, somebody is checking in at night time. So the night auditor is the person working in the night shift. He's the night auditor. Okay. Sonu says, please repeat other factors. Just a second. Okay. Right. Other factors. So Sonuji, the other factors, whether what time, what amount of cooperation you need from the client. क्लाइंट की कितनी जरूरत है आपको आपके ऑडिट में, कब जरूरत है, कितनी जरूरत है, when his presence is required. For example, for stock taking, the client staff's presence is required. But to check the books of accounts, the client staff presence might not be required. We'll tell them, give us the computer, give us the books, we'll check them, and for all the doubts, we'll sit at once with you after we are done with checking or vouching the books. Whether the engagement team members are available at the time of the audit or not, and if we require any external help, the external help is help from other auditors or persons who are expert in their fields and their expertise. Some certificates from them we require. As I told you about the building under construction part. Okay, forensic auditor is quite a high item. You'll read it in your CA finals. Forensic auditor is forensic is like going in depth. It is it is a term which is not to be told right now. Forensic, you will come across this term definitely in the CA finals, right? So let's break for 10 minutes, right? We'll meet at 7:30 and finish our topic for the day, audit program and audit evidence. Fine. Meanwhile, during the break, you can keep on punching in your queries. Fine. So let's take a break. हाँ जी राम जी, ब्रेक है. Okay, so yes, Tanu, that is not relevant right now, but I'll definitely come to it at the end of the session. Okay. Ria, difference between audit trail and audit procedures. Audit trail is basically a series of results you have left behind, or a series of observations you have come across during the journey of your audit. That is audit trail. Audit trail is a result of audit procedures. So you carried out audit procedure 1, audit procedure 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and what were the observations, whether they were dependent or independent of each other, whether they were interlinked, whatever observations you are leaving behind, so that they are going to form a basis of the opinion of the auditor in the end. It is called audit trail, right, Ria? So let's proceed further. Points to be kept in mind while constructing an audit program. What are those points? So here we are, the points. The first point, while constructing an audit program, stay within the scope and limitation of the assignment. As I told you, you have been assigned, you have signed a contract with the client hotel that they want you to carry out an audit only of the income and expenditure of the restaurant. The restaurant is one of the components of their hotel. So they want you to carry out the audit of that particular component only. So you have to stay within the scope of your contract, your engagement, and the limitation of the assignment. They don't want, yes, Shivam, you can say that it is a set of audit procedures. So you don't have to jump out of your scope, out of your circle, right? So you need not check the bookings. You need not check or foray into other procedures of the hotel when you have been told that please audit the receipts and expenses of the restaurant. So your audit program should contain steps and audit procedures with respect to the restaurant and with respect to other components only if they are interlinked with the restaurant. And only those parts, only those procedures which work upon the interlink, right? For example, room booking, you need to inquire about room service. How many rooms were served food in the room from the restaurant? Breakfast, lunch, dinner. This is within your scope. Okay, so that is within your scope. You can ask and make inquiries of that. Right? Okay. Charu one and the same thing. Prepare a written audit program. So it is very much required when you prepare for your exams. Everyone tells you that do as much written practice as you can. The same way, prepare a written audit program. Setting forth the procedures. Setting forth means laying down the procedures, writing them down that are needed to implement the audit plan. So your audit program should be in conformity with the audit plan. Whatever you have planned, your audit program's procedures. Remember, strategy, plan, audit program. Audit program contains the detailed procedures. So these procedures should conform to the planning done previously. A written audit program should be in place. Okay. The third point you need to keep in mind. Determine the evidence reasonably available and identify the best evidence for deriving the necessary satisfaction. So as Rekha asked me, sir, if we find a purchase invoice, do we need to check the physical existence of that particular item? reasonably available. What it should be reasonably available if you have found a purchase invoice that could be regarding the acquisition of a fixed asset or the inventory. If you have found it, you can always ask for, I need necessary satisfaction with respect to the existence of this item. So you need to tell me whether it has been consumed, whether it has been sold afterwards, or it is still with the entity. So you have to determine the evidence reasonably available. You cannot say you purchased a car this year and you sold in the later part of the year. I want to see that car. I want to see that car. How will they be able to take you to the car if they have already sold it? Right? So it should be reasonably available. Zid nahi karni hai. It should be actually, you can say, work for them. They are actually in a position to make the evidence, to make the thing work for you. So the evidence should be reasonably available, and you have to identify, like in the case of purchase invoice, the best evidence was physical existence. If it is inventory in the stock, if it is a fixed asset, whether it is there with the client or not. So it is you who have to design the procedure accordingly, so that the person carrying out that particular procedure as per the audit program is deriving necessary satisfaction. Apply only those checks and procedures which are useful in accomplishing the verification purpose in the specific situation. Jay is there in the restaurant. He wants to he's there with me to audit the receipts and the expenses of the restaurant, and he says, sir, let's check the food quality. I would say, Jay, this is not in our scope, sir, but we need to check the food quality. I need to check whether they are using fresh paneer or not, whether they are using the fresh milk or not. But Jay, we are not here for the quality audit. We are here for auditing the receipts and expenses, right? So we need only those checks and procedures which are useful in accomplishing the verification purpose in our situation. In a specific situation, we should not make a huge hue and cry for everything we feel it is important. We need to understand that as per in this particular situation and this audit program, this procedure is important and all other procedures are not relevant for this specific situation. Okay. The fifth part. So the first part we did, the scope and limitation. Second, written audit program. Third, reasonable availability of evidence. Fourth, specific situations. Fifth, include the audit objectives of each area and sufficient details which serve as a set of instruction for the assistants involved in audit and in the execution of the work. So whatever parts you have divided your whole audit into, the audit program should include the audit objective. For example, I'm taking stock and Jay asks me, sir, what is the objective behind this stock taking? Jay, we need to observe the stock taking because we have to make sure the stock in the books of accounts matches with the physical stock present with them. There is no embezzlement, right? Okay, fine. There is no pilferage. So nobody is taking a bottle of wine with them. Okay, hotel apna hi to hai, right? So the stock and present the stock there in the books of account and with them physically should match. So this is the audit objective I've clearly stated in my audit program for the team, for the staff who is going to carry out these procedures. Thus behind these procedures, your objective should be this. And if you find any procedure where objective is not achieved, please discuss it with your senior or with me. Okay. So I have to include the audit objective and whatever details are required to be made available from my side, as well as the staff member, the trainee or the assistant needs to avail it from the client It should be set in the audit objectives in the audit program with every procedure so that it is easy for the staff, the assistants, right, to carry out that particular procedure. Like in my example, I would give it to Jay, inventory stock taking, and Jay will read what is the audit objective. The stock in books of accounts should match with the stock physically available. So the objective is clear in Jay's mind, and now he'll be more alert. I have to tally the stock with the stock sheet, right? Sixth, consider all possibilities of error. Very likely there are going to be errors. For example, there could be this thing, Jay is observing the inventory taking, right? And suddenly the server comes, sir, please try this dish of ours, paneer pasanda. You'll definitely like it. I am there, Jay is there. Jay says, sir, don't taste. They are trying to distract us. I would say, what is there, Jay? This is just paneer pasanda. Let me try it. I should give them some of my feedback. The paneer is not soft or something like this. Jay says, no, sir, they are trying to distract us. Come on, Jay, let's have paneer pasanda. Stock taking ho rahi hai. They are doing it. There is this possibility. This is wrong on my part, right? This is not an error. The situation may result into an error. And what could be the error? There was variation in the stock. I could not take it physically, the inventory taking. This was my duty. And I made calculations in the stock sheet itself. Yes, this much is the stock available. Okay, fine. While taking the while taking the inventory count, the client's personnel accidentally broke one bottle. Now Jay didn't know what to do with this one bottle. What do I need to do? Should I put it as normal loss, abnormal loss, or should I deduct it from the okay, fine, Jay, matter paneer. Okay, so what do we do? What do I need to do? Jay is completely confused. I'm not there. I'm enjoying my paneer. So Jay ignores it, the broken bottle. But that broken piece of bottle had to be treated for in the books of accounts, in the stock sheet. This was an error. There was a mathematical formula which Jay need to use. Jay need to find out the cost of the bottles, and he said he was made available. This is the price of the bottles the whiskey bottle we charge from the client. So Jay said, okay, let me work out the cost. What is your profit margin? They say, sir, our markup is 20%. Sir, our markup is 20%. Okay, Jay says, you charge 1,000 rupees, 1,000 minus 20%. Okay, the cost of the bottle is 800. After having my paneer pasanda or matar paneer, I came back and I asked Jay, did you find out what is the cost of the bottle that got broken? Jay says, yes, sir, it's 800. How did you calculate it? I need to understand what could be the errors, the possibility of error. And there was this error. Can anybody tell me what was the error in Jay's calculation? Can anybody tell me, please? Come on. Jay was having his matar paneer and then this error he made in the calculation. The bar person told him that we have a markup of 20%. So Jay calculated 20%, 1,000 minus 200. 800 is the cost of the bottle broken, which needs to be accounted for in the books of accounts. So can anybody tell me what was the error made by Jay over here, which I have to tell him? So these kind of possibilities of error might occur, and we have to make sure that we train our clients with respect to solutions to these errors. So waiting for your answers, can anybody tell me what was the error made by Jay? Jay, you yourself can also tell what was the error made by you. Okay, suppose I've asked you all to audit the hotel. I'm waiting for your answers. What was the error? Let's complete this part. The seventh part is coordinate. Coordinate the procedures to be applied to related items. Coordinate the procedures to be applied to related items. As I told you, they are maintaining their own fleet of vehicles. So you'll check the fixed assets, you'll check how do they operate those vehicles for pick and drop service. These are related items. Then what is related to that particular segment? The driver's salary, right? And the person who maintains those fleet of vehicles, their regular maintenance, their washing, cleaning, everything. So we have to interlink those procedures and check whether they are being linked properly. There are 20 cars available with them, and they are expending on driver salary 50 drivers. Why do you need 50 drivers if there are 20 cars? If one of the drivers has taken the car, okay, for example, you have multiple shifts, morning shift and night shifts, okay, and you work in alternate shifts, even then 40, 35, 30 drivers were enough. Why 50 drivers? So there might be, they can employ 50 drivers, but this is a question which troubles you. Why 50 drivers? You need to seek justification from them. So you have to coordinate all the procedures which you have to apply to the related items, and there should be a provision for those procedures in your audit program. Okay. Yes, Vinay, correct. Charu, correct. Rakesh, correct. Yes, Harsh, very well calculated. Yes. Yeah. You all are really smart. Markup is always on cost. It is never on the selling price. So what mistake did J committed? Notional mistake, J. You might not commit this mistake. The markup is always on cost and not on the selling price. Right? Okay, so it should have been 20% on the cost, actual cost. Suppose the cost is 800 to 20% on 800, right? Not on the selling price. And if you need to work out the cost from the selling price, it would be 1000 by 120 into 100. That 1000 includes the 20% markup. Okay, so this is basic. You might have done these adjustments in your final accounts, opening stock, closing stock, overvalued, undervalued. The same adjustment is that. Okay, 960. Someone has calculated the cost for me. Sneha, thank you. 960. I believe you have done it good. Okay. Someone is giving me 833.33, whatever it is. You calculate it on your own, right? So this is a question for you. For example, there is a question in the exam. HA and company has backed the contract to conduct the audit of Taj Hotels, right? Or HAV and Associates have backed the contract or have been asked by SS Private Limited to conduct their statutory audit. The engagement partner wants to construct an audit program for the audit to be conducted. Help him which points he needs to keep in mind while constructing an audit program. So, friends, these are the points. This is the answer in front of you. These are the points which the auditor needs to keep in mind while constructing an audit program. Very simple, very easy, and we have taken each and every point. So I hope this question will not trouble you anymore. Okay, let's move ahead. The most interesting topic in audit is audit evidence. You have your standards on auditing, 2 standards on auditing on audit evidence. And in the chapters to come, you'll definitely take up this topic, audit evidence. We have a glimpse of audit evidence in this particular chapter. So what do they say? They say audit program should be designed in such a manner. Audit program should be designed in such a manner so that it can give us audit evidence. And whatever an auditor reports in his audit report, whatever he writes in his audit report, it should be properly supported by audit evidence. So the facts, the figures which you have found during your audit while carrying out the audit procedures, whether in documentary form or in electronic form, e-form, they are your audit evidence. Rekha found a purchase invoice of the microwave, but the microwave was nowhere to be seen. And they could not offer a genuine explanation of this fact, the client. So what does Rekha do? Rekha gets a copy of that invoice, keeps it in her file, and while debriefing about her daily activities to the senior or the principal, she tells him, "Sir, see, I found this purchase invoice today, but the item was nowhere. This is a fake invoice. This is a fake purchase." So that particular invoice was an audit evidence which has to be retained by Rekha, and on that particular audit, relying on that evidence, the auditor will report fake purchases were made by the particular department. Okay? So what is audit evidence? Audit evidence may be defined as the information used by the auditor in arriving at the conclusions on which the auditor's opinion is based, includes, what does it include? The audit evidence. So the first 2 points, please correlate with my example. The information used by the auditor mean, what was the information? The purchase invoice. In arriving at the conclusions, what do we concluded? Although Rekha concluded, but what do we concluded? That it was a fake bill because the item was nowhere to be seen and they could not offer a genuine explanation where the item went. So in arriving at, I concluded that the purchase is fake and I'll base my audit opinion upon that particular evidence. And what does an audit evidence include? The audit evidence includes both information contained in the accounting records underlying the financial statements and other information. So in this example, our audit evidence was obtained from the accounting records. When we checked the books, the purchase file, we found this invoice and it was there. It was an information which was there in the accounting records. And other information, other miscellaneous information. So this is the audit evidence. Please read with me the next 2 points. The primary task before the auditor when he draws up the audit program. So an auditor is drawing up an audit program. What is the primary task for him? The prioritized task for him to decide what is the best evidence for testing the accuracy of any assertion. Okay, so we come across this term assertion, right? In audit, assertion means characteristics, genuineness of certain statements contained in the financial information. So in the first chapter, you did assertions about account balances at period end. Assertions could be about transactions as well, right? So Rekha wanted to be fully assured whether the particular item was actually purchased or not. So assertion would have been the usual assumption, the characteristic of that transaction. You bought this item, right? You might have paid for this item. If you haven't paid, what is this invoice doing here? Is the person to whom you need, the vendor whom you need to pay for that particular item, standing in your creditors? You need to pay them, right? Or if you have paid them, the particular person is not standing in your creditors, right? So you might have paid them through the bank or cash if applicable. Please show us the entry. So what assertions are making? We want to be assured this particular transaction has taken place. So this is an transaction, the characteristics of that transaction assertion. When you talk about assertions about transactions find place in the profit and loss account of an entity. When you talk about assertions about account balances, at period end, they find a place in the balance sheet. The balance of the creditors, the debtors, the stock, the fixed assets. So what are the assertions with respect to those balance sheet? What evidences you need to find? So assertions are like which tell us the financial statements are true or not. So let us take the case of fixed assets. What would be the assertion? The first assertion which help us come to a conclusion that yes, they represented true and fair. The first assertion is existence. Whether the fleet of vehicles, the cars owned by the hotel exist or not, I'll go and check whether they are only in the books of accounts or they exist actually with the hotel. Where are they being parked? Second, rights and obligations with respect to those assets. So I am talking about the assertions. The first assertion was existence of that asset. Second was rights and obligations with respect to that asset. Do we have a right over those assets? Do we have any obligations towards those assets? Suppose those assets were the fleet of vehicles was purchased out of own funds of the hotel. So only rights attached, no obligations. But if they were financed by a finance company, so they would have been placed under hypothecation. The finance company would have hypothecated those. So we have an obligation towards the finance company unless and until we pay our loan in full, which we have taken to purchase those cars. We have an obligation towards the finance company. We have a right over the fleet of vehicles to be used. But the ownership right will get transferred to us only when we pay the loan in full. So we have rights and obligations. Have they been properly accounted for in the books of accounts? So rights and obligations is the next assertion. The third assertion is completeness. What does completeness mean? Whether the purchase has been made in complete or as on 31st, the year end. We have received 15 cars and 5 cars will be received in the next month, in the next year. Valuation and allocation is kind of the fourth assertion with respect to their cars. How have they been valued? Have you purchased new cars or used cars? What is the basis of the valuation of those cars? So these are the assertions. So what does it say? The primary task before the auditor when he draws up the audit program is to decide what is the evidence for testing the accuracy of any assertion. So for existence assertion, we'll see, yes, we checked it ourselves. Yes, the cars were there. For rights and obligations, yes, we checked the books of accounts. There is no loan. They have been purchased out of own funds. So what is the evidence? To check the test the accuracy of any assertion, the invoices when we purchased those cars, the transactions which we paid. Third is completeness. Yes, we checked 15 cars were received, 5 were still to be received in the next month. And valuation, yes, they have been valued, the purchase price plus all incidental expenses which were necessary to bring the cars into use by the hotel. They have been added up and properly capitalized take a copy of account of the cars. These were the expenses made. So the assertion with respect to those cars at period end will be checked. So audit procedures, I'll list them. The person, Jay, is going to check those, verify those fixed assets. Jay, were they existed? The cars are in existence. Is their purchase complete? Is there the full right is being held by the hotel, or there is any obligation attached to it? What value have they? How have they been valued in the financial statements? So these 4 questions will be part of my audit program. Right? Third part, is a matter of expert knowledge and experience, because evidence is the very basis for formulation of opinion, and an audit program has to be designed to provide for that by prescribing procedures and techniques. Transactions that are varied in nature and impact, procedures to be prescribed depend on prior knowledge of what evidence is reasonably available in respect of each transaction. So we have to be very much aware of what would be the evidence in this particular kind of transaction. For example, we purchase stock. So what would be the evidence? Check the purchase requisition. You might have done it in the costing. Check the purchase requisition. Check whether the order was placed with the vendors, tenders invited, tenders received, compared, tender allotted to the winning person, delivery taken at the audit gate, at the factory gate. The person taking the delivery signed it. It was shifted to the godown, and from godown, this particular stock, this much units have been issued to the factory. So we know these are the audit evidences. This is the audit trail, which I told you about. Someone asked about audit trail as well. So this was the audit trail, right? So I checked each and every part from starting to end, developed a trail, and yes, this was an audit procedure. Okay, and I'll put it in my audit program as well. You have to check each and every part. So auditor needs to identify what brings highest satisfaction to him, and that should be a part of his audit evidence. So this was about audit evidence basics. So what kind of audit evidences do we really want? Do we really seek from the client? So these are the types of audit evidence. An auditor picks up evidence from a variety of sources. These are the following broad types. As you can see in the picture, there is an image you can see along with the text written on your screen. This picture contains each and every part being discussed over here. Let's discuss the first part, documentary examination. So what is documentary examination? When you check the invoices, right? You check the requisitions, you check the vouchers, the payment notes, the delivery notes, documentary examination. So one of the persons, Rekha, checked the purchase invoice. I told her on call, Rekha, take a copy of this with you and we will use it as audit evidence. Punch it in your audit file. Documentary examination. Done. The next one is physical examination. So what is physical examination? I told Jay, you have to go and check the car's physical existence on yourself. Jay, check, tally this stock sheet with the bottles in the bar. Physical examination, right? Statement and explanation of management, officials and employees. So take statements, get them signed from the management, the officials and the employees as well, and check if there are any contradictions in their statements. Become Daya or Officer Pradyuman of CID. Not, you have to be a watchdog, not a bloodhound, right? So you ask the management, there is a variation of 2 bottles in the whiskey stock or wine stock in the bar. What could be the reason? The management says, oh, the owner or the director would have taken it for the personal use. The other officials say, oh, it might have got broken. The employees say, we don't know. There is a contradiction. If there is a proper mechanism of internal control in the hotel, in the organization, there would have been proper records maintained, and each and everyone would have known what is the reason for variation in the figures of closing stock of the bar inventory. So you have to ask for statements and explanation of management, officials, and employees. And if you feel the need, you need to get them signed from them. Statements and explanations of third parties. So we were auditing the hotel. Jay was with me. Okay. And let's see one more person, Vrinda. Okay. So Vrinda was with me, and Vrinda and Jay were looking at the reception counter. A foreigner came and he booked a room. And they checked that how has he paid. So he may inquire, or they may inquire of him, how is he paying them? In foreign exchange or Indian money, whatever be his route, right? Second example. For example, Jay wanted to check the valuation of the cars. They have purchased a second-hand car as well. So Jay will ask them, please make available a certificate from a proper vehicle valuer or a person who can from where you have purchased this second-hand vehicle from the company. We need a certificate from the company that they have sold you this second-hand car at this amount. So statements and explanation of third parties, or the balance of debtors and creditors. So this is our vendor and we purchased this particular item from them. So you can ask for a certificate. Please arrange us a call with that particular vendor. That particular vendor is standing in your creditors. This much amount is due to him by your side. So we want to check whether he confirms, yes, an amount of 2 lakhs is payable by this hotel to them. We want to cross-check with their accounts as well. So either please arrange a call, a meeting, or a certificate of copy of account from them as well, that your balances match. Whatever is standing in their accounts, in your name in debtors, the same amount is standing in your books of accounts in their name as creditors. So this is what statement and explanations of third parties. The parties which are not a subject of our audit, but indirectly they become a part of our audit, the third parties. Arithmetical calculations by the auditor. Arithmetical calculations, I gave you an example where there was error, the cost and selling price of the bottle, right? Arithmetical calculations by the auditor. State of internal controls and internal checks. As I told you, you can check for the internal control, right? I gave you an example. Go there, have the buffet breakfast, tell them that I have a room booked. They say, okay, sir, you have that breakfast, the lavish breakfast, you come back and they don't ask you for payment. So you can always carry out these procedures to check the state of internal controls and internal checks. What controls are there in place? And you can always document this as an audit evidence that you carried out this particular procedure and you found this variation. Interrelationship of various accounting data. Interrelationship of various accounting data. I told you the example of fixed asset cars, profit and loss car expenses, driver salary, fuel expenses, right? Whether they are charging the customers for pick and drop service or it is being offered complimentary from the airport, the railway station or the bus stand. And how is the accounting data interlinked? So what are they paying to the drivers? Is it a part of the salary or they are making it a part of a different ledger head? You have to check for the interrelationship of various accounting data, right? For example, if they are expending, they have put an item of you would say amount paid in entertainment expenses head, right? In entertainment expenses head, they have put up amount, a transaction where they say that a singer was invited for this gala dinner, right? A singer was invited for this gala dinner. Okay, so you check whether a gala dinner was organized or not from the accounting records. Definitely, the costing would have been higher on that particular day in the restaurant. How many bookings were there in that restaurant, right? And if a singer was invited, how was he or she paid, and how was the contract signed with the singer? So, interrelationship between various accounting data is a good audit evidence. Subsidiary and memorandum records. You have all read about subsidiary books and ledgers. Memorandum records are the draft records. So some draft records are in our layman language, we say some draft, some kacha kam. So in memorandum records are there, which are not forming a part of the financial statements, but those records are complementing our financial statements, are supporting our financial statements. So you can always make an extract of that in your as an audit evidence, or you can ask for a copy of those records. Minutes. What are minutes? This is in the case of companies. The crux of the meeting of board of directors held. The crux of the meeting of shareholders held. So a minute book is prepared where every meeting's briefings are made, are written, so that anyone who is eligible to access to those minutes can get knowledge of what was discussed in the meeting. And the minutes are a very good source of audit evidence to form your opinion. What was just an auditor need not be in every meeting unless and until his presence is required. So if he cannot be in any meeting, or it is not feasible for him, he can always check the minutes. What was discussed in the meeting? What was finalized in the meeting as per the minutes of the meeting? And whether the particular transaction or the work has been done as was decided in the minutes, or there is a variation. Audit evidence. I found that particular item was purchased from vendor B, but in the minutes it was decided after comparison that vendor A is offering better quality and price, so the material will be purchased from vendor A. So you'll have the minutes as an audit evidence, the invoice from B as audit evidence, and you'll state it in your audit report. Ask of the management, why is this a variation? Right? Subsequent action by the client and by others. So you ask them, why is there a variation? So the management told you, sir, at that point of time when we went ahead to give the order to vendor A was not available. He shut down his business. So we had to go for vendor B. So after the meeting, we had a board resolution passed, or we had another meeting whose minutes are here, the minutes of that meeting are here, or the manager was himself given the power to choose the otherwise case of Mr. B if Mr. A is not available. If you are satisfied with that explanation, it is good, and you can always record this statement on a paper and get it signed. So these are the types of audit evidences which can serve your purpose. Okay? So moving ahead, examples of audit evidence. So to check for cash in hand, what is the best example? What is the best evidence to check the accuracy of cash in hand? Count the cash. So how do you count the cash? You go to the cashier. You ask him, what is the cash balance as per your ledger for today? He says, sir, 1,20,520 rupees. Oh, really good. Okay, where is the cash? It is in the safe. Okay, take me to the safe. Okay, here is the cash. Are you closing it for the day? Yes, sir, I'm closing it for the day. Okay, take the cash out. This is the cash. Take some notes out of the cash. Keep them with you, count, and ask him, please count the remaining cash and let me know what is the count with you. Fine? what is the count with you. I'll not tell him what is the count with me. So what is the count with him and what is the count with me? I'll add that and check it whether it matches with the cash as recorded in the books of accounts for that day or not. I cannot ask him or her, please count the cash and let me know. He already knows what is there in the books of accounts. He'll count the cash, he'll keep it, sir. It is 1,20,520. Okay, you counted really well. Okay, so it is not going to be the case. You have to take some notes out, count them, keep them with you, and you say, tell me what is the balance cash. This way you check the count. So count is the best audit evidence for cash in hand, and you can always get the cash balance certificate from a bank or company, wherever you are counting cash, and the physical cash certificate as well. For investment pledged with the bank, the banker's, an investment has been pledged with the bank, the banker's certificate. For example, I have taken a loan against my LIC policy. Oh, okay. Let's leave it. I have taken a loan against an FD with the bank. So I have an FD with the bank. I don't want to break that FD. I've asked the bank to please give me a loan against that FD, or my national savings certificates with the post office, please give me a loan against this, or the Kisan Vikas Patra, the KVPs, whatever investment I have with me. If I have taken a loan against those investments, to check that, we always need a third party confirmation, that is the bank will ask the client, please arrange for us a banker certificate. The bank will give us the certificate. Yes, this is the loan amount they owe us, right? And you will check with the books of accounts whether the amount matches with the certificate or not. So this is the best evidence, the bank certificate or the bank statement, right? For verifying assertions, I told you what are assertions: the rights, the completeness, the existence, the valuation about book debts, the client's ledger, invoices, debit notes, credit notes, monthly account statement sent to the customer. This is your monthly account statement. You purchased this much material from us of value 2 lakhs, 1 lakh we have received, right? 50 lakhs check is in transit. The balance is 50,000 which you owe us. So you have to tally all the documents to reach at the value of debtors shown by them in their book of accounts or the creditors. Some of these are corroborative. Corroborative, you will get this term in chapters to come. Corroborative means supporting each other, additional. Other being complementary. In addition, balance confirmation procedure is often resorted to. What is balance confirmation procedure? As I told you, we ask the creditor, please issue us a certificate that this particular firm's balance in their books is standing at this amount. We'll check it with our books of account. To obtain greater satisfaction about the reliability of the assertion. So we took the example of cash, investment pledged with bank, or any bank balance also. If the bank certificate and the amount shown against that particular bank in books of accounts matches, it is the best evidence. Next. Sales. You can see an invoice. You can see a person collecting cash. So how are sales evidence? Sales, what audit evidence would you need to check the sales? Invoices raised by the client, the price list, the forwarding notes to the client that this item is being forwarded to you and this is a delivery note, this is a bill, invoice. Inventory issue records, we'll check in the inventory, what was inwards, what was outwards. Sales manager's advice to the inventory section, please send this much quantity of this much stock to this particular customer. Acknowledgement of the receipt of goods by the customer. The customer acknowledges the receipt of goods and hands it over to the company's transporter. The company's transporter gives it back to the company. Yes, I have delivered the goods. You get an acknowledgement. Yes, the customer has received the goods. This is also an audit evidence. Collection of money against sales by the client. You have been collecting money, receiving checks or cash. So this is also an evidence of sales by the company to the customer. Okay, advantages of audit program. Quite simple, right? The advantages, I think you can read it on your own. Provides the assistant carrying out the audit with total and clear set of instructions. Very important, so that a fresher article or an assistant should be confident enough that he can learn more. It is quite required for major audits, right, to provide a total perspective of the work to be formed. Whatever work you have to do in big audits, major audits, that all has to be clubbed under audit program. Selection of assistants for the jobs, who can work senior, how many senior assistants required, how many junior assistants required, right? Without a written and predetermined program, work is necessary to be carried out on the basis of a mental plan. And when we think and do work under a mental plan, it is going to be haphazard manner. So we are always in a situation that we may overlook or ignore some important aspects. Okay, for a systematic audit, we need an audit program. The assistants, by putting their signature on the program, accept the responsibility for the work carried out by them. Jay will put a signature on the stock report. He'll give me, yes, sir, I've checked the stock, tallied the stock taking, right? The principal can control the progress of various audits in hand by examination of audit programs initiated by the assistants deputed. So I'll ask Jay, please send me a WhatsApp or mail me your audit program in progress. I'll check what amount of work has been done by now by Jay, right? I can also ask him, you are going too fast. Please be a bit slow. Devote some time. Or I would say, you are going a bit slow. So much of work is to be done. Please buck up. It serves as a guide for audits to be carried out in the succeeding. Definitely. Next year, Jay would be a senior article assistant, and the same year, Sneha enters the office as a fresher article assistant. So Jay will assist her, and she can go through the previous audit program, what did Jay had concluded and everything, so she can have an idea of what she needs to do. A properly drawn up audit program serves as an evidence in the event of any charge of negligence being brought against the auditor. The auditor can say, see, the client is faking this particular blame, right? I have the audit evidence available with me. See, the work my staff did, they have been properly signed by the management. How can they say that the stock did tally? The stock didn't tally. So the evidence is always a savior for the auditor in case a blame of negligence is put upon him or her. Yes, Neha, you can use cash counting machine as well. The method which you have to use for cash audit, I've already told you. Disadvantages of audit program, quite normal. The work may become mechanical, and particularly parts of the program may be carried out without understanding the objects in the whole audit scheme, right? So there are written questions you are answering without understanding them. What are they intended for? What is the audit objective? Sometimes the program becomes rigid and inflexible. You want to customize it, but you have been asked not to customize it, right? Or there is a huge labor turnover in the organization. So sometimes it is of disadvantage. Sometimes inefficient assistants, they may take shelter behind the program. There are some deficiencies in the program. So as I told in the beginning of the session, the assistant has to keep an open mind, but he doesn't want to keep it open. He wants to make it, let it be closed. So you can always take the shelter of those programs that there was deficiency in this program. This program never asked me to carry out this particular audit procedure. And a hard and fast mechanical audit program may kill the initiative of efficient and enterprising assistants if they want to customize, but they are not being allowed to customize it, right? But these advantages can be overcome. How? Imaginative supervision of the work carried on by the assistants. The auditor must have a receptive attitude. If the assistant is asking for any change, or if he's feeling any issue, the auditor must always have a receptive attitude. There should not be any ego senior junior clashes. He should have a receptive attitude. If the assistant is wrong somewhere, he should tell him, no, this cannot be done. But if the suggestion he finds it to be healthy, it should be incorporated in the audit program. The assistants should be encouraged to observe matters objectively and bring significant matters to the notice of the supervisor and principal. So observing matters objectively is as per the audit objective. They should not be subjective. There could be difference in opinion. I can think this, that particular person can think. This is subjective. No, you have to go by the objective. This has to be done this way, then this has to be done this way only. You can ask the client for the variations. Okay? Fine. So these are the disadvantages of the audit program. The last part for today is quality control. 5B point. The program often tends to become rigid and inflexible, following set rules. The business may change in its operation. See, as I told you, that the last time you audited this hotel, and this time you are auditing this hotel, there has been an overhauling of infrastructure. So the previous audit program, if you are rigid and don't want to modify that audit program, it is of no use. That is an obsolete audit program. So the business may have changed its operation. If you want to go with that particular audit program, it is going to pose more disadvantages and limitations to the audit team rather than doing good for them. Okay, Vrinda. So quality control. In an audit program, there should be provisions made for quality control. SA 220, quality control for an audit of financial statements. You might have done this in chapter 1. A lot of work is delegated by auditor to his assistants. The auditor should carefully direct, supervise and review the work delegated to assistants. The auditor should obtain reasonable assurance. Reasonable is, what is reasonable? That can be proved to some extent. Absolute means as it is. Reasonable assurance, that can be proved with logic. That work performed by other auditor or experts is adequate for his purpose. SA 220, quality control for an audit of financial statements lays down standards. And it says that this line is really important. The objective of the auditor is to implement quality control procedures at the engagement level that provides auditor with reasonable, that can be proved with reason and logic, assurance that the audit complies with professional standards and regulatory legal requirements. The auditor has to make sure this is a part of quality control. Auditor has to make that sure that my audit program is complying with all the professional standards, the accounting standards, Ind AS standards on auditing, and the regulatory and legal requirements which are required of me. And the second part in quality control, which the auditor has to make sure that the auditor's report is issued appropriate in the circumstances. Whatever report he or she is issuing, as per the circumstances, it is the most appropriate report. There should not be any variations. Circumstances, according to the circumstances, the report he has issued is appropriate, of good quality, includes everything which the engagement wanted of the auditor. So this is a short part of quality control under audit program, and the major coverage of quality control would have done in your chapter 1. Right? Okay. So this is what we did today. Audit program. First of all, what we did the meaning of audit program, right? Then I showed you a particular audit program, a screenshot of an audit program, then some considerations, one audit program, standard program, periodic review of the audit program, right? Then pre-considerations for an audit program, points to be kept in mind while constructing an audit program. Then what did we do? Audit evidence, right? We did what are the basic sources of audit evidence and some examples of audit evidence, then advantages of audit program, disadvantages of audit program, and quality control part. So we took some money and said to the count and remaining, then he told some amount and we did total and it was less. If the cashier told that maybe the auditor is saying wrong amount and some money is taken by auditor, no, Sneha, that is not going to happen. You are an auditor, you are a professional. He cannot do this. The cashier cannot do this. We do it in front of too many people. Our staff is with us. The manager is with us. We can always repeat the activity in front of other people as well. So he cannot blame the auditor. He has taken the money. Auditor is getting good fee for that particular purpose. He is not going to take the cash out of that. Jay, in practical life, there is a set of conditions and our law has divided the corporate into on the basis of those competitions and level 1 entities, level 2 entities, level 3 entities. So whatever category they fall into, they have to follow accordingly AS, Ind AS and IFRS, right? So you'll be reading it in your accounting standards chapter part or in your CA finals that which companies are required to follow Ind AS, which are still following AS, and where do we need to follow IFRS. Okay, Jay? So this was all for today. I have a short video for you for 5 minutes till the time I show that video to you. Enjoy that video. This is a video, learning video for on the part we have done till now, audit planning and all. Meanwhile, I'm showing you the video. If any doubts are there, you can always put it up in the query session for me to be taken up today or in the next session. Okay, so let me know if you can see my screen. Okay, is my screen visible? Can you see a cartoon or a video on the screen? Please let me know. हाँ मैंने चलाया नहीं था अभी सर चलाया भी चलाया नहीं मैंने okay. It is paused. Okay, Ram sir, is it visible? And in full screen, is it visible? Okay, and the sound? The sound is okay? Okay, sir, I'm playing the video. Okay, guys, please enjoy this. Okay, so that is it. What was you have done till now, right? Audit engagements and audit planning. We did audit program as well. I hope the video was enjoyed by all and it was completely understood. So that is it for today. If you have any queries, you can leave it in the query session. You can leave it over there. I'll take care of it in the next session. In the next session, we'll be taking up materiality, the last part, right? We'll take up materiality. We'll finish this chapter, and we'll try if I can come up with a case study, right? We'll take up a case study and case study based questions from an examination point of view for you from this particular chapter. Okay. If we are able to finish in time, I will definitely take up a case study and some multiple choice questions. Right? Okay. So thank you so much. Take care, everyone. Good night. Yes, sir. Concluded.